Trust is the invisible thread that holds every meaningful relationship together. Quiet, steady, and stronger than anything that can be spoken aloud. It's not built through grand gestures or perfect moments. It's earned through small, consistent actions that make two people feel emotionally safe with each other. When a man truly trusts you, it shows not just in what he says, but in how he behaves when no one's watching. It appears in the way he looks at you when words fall short, the comfort he feels in your silence, and the confidence he has in your presence. Trust is the space between two hearts where honesty feels natural, vulnerability feels safe, and love becomes effortless. For many men, trust doesn't come easily. They're taught to stay guarded, to rely on themselves, and to reveal emotions only in pieces. But when he begins to let that guard down with you, when he starts sharing parts of himself he's never shared before, that's when you know something real is unfolding. It's in the way he opens up about his fears, lets you see his weaknesses, and invites you into the parts of his world he usually keeps private. He starts to rely on your presence not out of need, but because he finds peace there. He values your words, respects your silence, and finds comfort in your understanding. You'll notice the trust in subtle moments. When he asks for your opinion before making a decision, when he tells you about his past without hiding the rough edges, when he lets you handle something important to him without worry. It's also there when he doesn't check up on you constantly, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows he doesn't have to. His calm confidence in you speaks louder than constant reassurance ever could. That kind of trust doesn't live in control, it lives in freedom. What makes this kind of connection so powerful is that it changes both people. When he trusts you deeply, it allows him to be softer, calmer, and more open than he's ever been. He stops trying to be perfect and starts being real. He can laugh, make mistakes, express emotions, and simply exist beside you without fear of judgment. That's when love matures, when it grows beyond attraction and becomes a safe place. In the end, a man's trust is one of the most meaningful gifts he can give. It's not given lightly, and once it's earned, it becomes the foundation for everything else. Love, loyalty, honesty, and emotional peace. When he trusts you enough to be himself fully, to let you in without hesitation, and to stay grounded in your presence even through silence, that's when you know what you share isn't temporary. It's something lasting, something real. He shares his secrets without hesitation. When a man shares his secrets without hesitation, it's one of the clearest signs that he deeply trusts you. Secrets are not just words. They're pieces of his inner world that he rarely shows to anyone. They hold his fears, past mistakes, private memories, and insecurities that he has likely carried alone for years. When he begins to open up about them with you, it means he feels emotionally safe in your presence. He's not worried about being judged, misunderstood, or having his words used against him. This level of openness doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly as he observes how you handle small pieces of his truth. Every time you respond with empathy instead of criticism, the trust strengthens. When he tells you things he hasn't told anyone else, it shows that he sees you as more than just a partner or companion. He sees you as someone who truly understands him. He doesn't have to perform or pretend around you. The fear of rejection or ridicule fades away because your presence feels like home to him. It's also a sign that he values emotional honesty over image. By letting you in on the parts of himself that aren't perfect, he's saying, "I trust that you'll still accept me." That's a profound emotional gift. Sometimes, his confessions might come in quiet moments, late-night talks, shared laughter, or vulnerable silences. What matters most isn't the depth of the secret, but the comfort he feels in sharing it. True trust isn't about constant reassurance. It's about knowing that someone will hold your truth gently. So when he tells you what he's afraid of, what hurt him before, or what he dreams of becoming, he's not just talking. He's choosing you as his safe space, his confidant, and his emotional home. He lets you see his vulnerable side. When a man lets you see his vulnerable side, it's one of the most intimate forms of trust he can offer. Many men are conditioned to appear strong, composed, and in control at all times. Society often tells them that showing pain, fear, or uncertainty is a weakness. So when he allows you to see the moments when he's unsure, scared, or emotionally exposed, it's a powerful sign that he feels safe with you on a level that goes beyond surface affection. Vulnerability means he's letting you witness the parts of him he doesn't show to the world, the parts that could easily be misunderstood or judged. When he opens up about his insecurities, past wounds, or failures. He's essentially saying, I trust you not to hurt me with this. That's a profound emotional statement. It shows that your presence calms him, that your response matters, and that he believes you'll hold his truth with care instead of using it against him. This kind of openness doesn't happen quickly. It develops when he consistently feels seen and accepted by you. Each time you respond with empathy instead of rejection, his walls lower a little more, and his heart opens wider. You might notice his vulnerability in small, quiet ways, like when he admits he's struggling with something, or when his eyes soften as he shares a childhood memory that still affects him. Sometimes it's in the way he lets you comfort him when he's tired, stressed, or disappointed. He's showing you that he doesn't always have to be strong around you, and that's a privilege he doesn't grant easily. When a man allows his guard to fall and lets you see the real, imperfect, tender parts of him, it means he's no longer just trying to impress you. He's inviting you to truly know him. He values your opinions in his decisions. When a man values your opinions in his decisions, it reveals a deep level of trust and respect that goes far beyond casual affection. It means he doesn't just see you as someone in his life. He sees you as part of his thought process, his perspective, and his growth. When he takes your views seriously before making important choices, it shows that he believes in your judgment and considers you emotionally intelligent and insightful. It's not about him being unable to decide for himself. It's about wanting you involved because he feels your opinion brings balance, wisdom, and emotional grounding to his choices. He might ask you what you think about his career plans, how to handle a personal conflict, or even something as simple as what color to paint his room. These questions might seem small, but they represent something meaningful. He values your presence in his decision-making because your thoughts genuinely matter to him. When a man includes you in decisions that affect his life, it's also a sign that he's thinking long-term. He imagines you being part of his future and wants to build that future with shared input. This level of trust doesn't come from flattery or obligation. It's built through consistent experiences where you've listened, understood, and responded with honesty instead of judgment. He knows you'll tell him the truth, even if it's uncomfortable, and that kind of reliability makes your perspective invaluable. It also reflects emotional maturity. He doesn't see seeking your opinion as a loss of control, but as an act of partnership. When a man values your thoughts and consults you sincerely, it's his way of saying that your voice has a place in his world, and your insight helps him feel more certain about the path he's walking. He introduces you to his closest friends. When a man introduces you to his closest friends, it's a strong sign that he trusts you deeply and sees you as someone meaningful in his life. Friends are often a reflection of who we are. They know our habits, stories, and vulnerabilities that not everyone gets to see. By bringing you into that circle, he's not only opening another part of his world to you, but also letting you see the version of himself that exists when he's relaxed and completely authentic. It's his way of saying, you belong in my life, not just in private moments, but in the spaces that define who I am. Men are often selective about who they allow into their social sphere. If he's inviting you to meet his close friends, it means he feels confident about you and is ready to merge parts of his personal and emotional life. He wants the people who matter most to him to know you, and he also wants you to see that side of him, the one that laughs freely, teases, and shares stories that reveal his past. It's also a subtle way of giving you access to his inner world without words. He's saying, through action, that he trusts you enough to see the people who've seen him at his best and worst. When his friends already know about you before you meet, it's an even stronger sign that he talks about you with pride. It shows that you're on his mind even when you're not around. Introducing you isn't about formality. It's an emotional step. It's how he integrates you into his reality. He wants you to fit comfortably among the people who make him feel at home because to him, you've already started to become part of that home. 5. He's comfortable around you in silence. When a man is comfortable around you in silence, it speaks volumes about the depth of trust and emotional ease he feels with you. Silence can often feel awkward, especially in the early stages of a relationship, when people still feel the need to impress or fill every moment with words. But when he no longer feels that pressure, when he can sit next to you quietly without reaching for his phone, searching for conversation, or trying to entertain you, it means he feels genuinely at peace in your presence. That silence isn't empty. It's full of comfort, connection, and emotional safety. For many men, silence is their natural language of calm. When he can share that quiet with you, it's a sign that you've become part of his calm too. It means he doesn't feel judged, misunderstood, or restless when he's with you. He doesn't need to prove himself or impress you every second. Your presence alone brings him ease. Maybe it's sitting together on a long drive, watching a movie without much talking, or simply lying together in bed without saying a word. In those moments, he feels seen and accepted exactly as he is. Being comfortable in silence also shows that your connection isn't dependent on constant stimulation or performance. You've moved past the phase of needing validation and entered something more real, companionship that exists even in stillness. It's a rare kind of bond where both people understand that sometimes love speaks quietly, through shared peace rather than words. When he looks at you, smiles softly, and goes back to whatever he's doing without needing to fill the air, that's not distance. That's trust. It's his heart saying, I can just be myself here. I don't need to hide or perform. I'm home. 6. He listens. When you speak without interrupting. When a man listens to you without interrupting, it's not just good manners. It's emotional respect in its purest form. In a world where people often listen only to respond, a man who listens to understand is showing you that your thoughts genuinely matter to him. He's not just hearing your words, he's paying attention to the meaning, the tone, and the feelings behind them. That kind of attentiveness is a rare form of trust. It shows he values your perspective and wants to truly know what's on your mind instead of rushing to give advice or turn the conversation back to himself. When he sits quietly while you talk, maintaining eye contact, nodding gently, or asking thoughtful questions afterward, he's giving you emotional space, the kind where you feel seen, not just heard. This is especially meaningful when you're sharing something personal or emotional. His silence in those moments isn't indifference, it's patience. He's creating room for your emotions to unfold safely. He trusts that communication with you doesn't have to be a battle for attention. It's an exchange of respect. Listening without interruption also means he's practicing restraint. It takes emotional maturity to hold back one's own opinions or defenses until the other person has fully expressed themselves. When he does that for you, it's a form of protection. He's safeguarding your right to speak freely, and the way he responds afterward often reflects how deeply he's listened. Calmly, with empathy, and without trying to minimize your feelings. This kind of listening builds intimacy silently. You begin to feel that he's someone you can confide in, someone who won't dismiss your emotions or rush to fix them. In that stillness, in those pauses where he lets you finish your thought completely, love grows quietly. Because true trust often sounds like someone listening, not to reply, but to understand. He tells you about his fears and weaknesses when a man tells you about his fears and weaknesses. It's one of the most honest and courageous things he can do. Men are often taught to hide their vulnerabilities, to appear strong, confident, and unshaken, no matter what's happening inside. So when he opens up and shares what scares him, what keeps him awake at night, or what makes him doubt himself, it's not just conversation, it's trust laid bare. He's allowing you to see the parts of himself that he usually guards from the world, the fragile corners of his mind that hold his deepest insecurities. This kind of openness is rare because it requires emotional safety. He must feel certain that you won't judge him, mock him, or see him as less capable. It means he trusts you enough to let you see behind the armor he wears every day. When he says things like, "I'm afraid of failing," "I don't feel good enough sometimes," or "I've never told anyone this before," he's handing you something delicate, his truth. And by doing that, he's letting you know that he doesn't just want to be seen as strong. He wants to be seen as human. It also shows that he values emotional honesty more than image. He doesn't need to impress you with perfection. He wants to connect with you through authenticity. These confessions might come during quiet nights, vulnerable talks after a hard day, or when life forces him to face something painful. What matters most isn't the fear itself, but his willingness to share it with you. When he opens up about his weaknesses, he's not seeking pity, he's seeking understanding. It's his way of saying, I trust you with the parts of me that aren't perfect, because I know you'll hold them gently. Wang. He lets you handle things that matter to him. When a man lets you handle things that matter to him, it's one of the clearest signs that he trusts you completely. Men are naturally protective over the things they value. Their time, their goals, their finances, their personal belongings, and especially the people closest to them. Allowing someone else, even someone they love, to take charge of something important requires deep emotional confidence. It means he believes in your judgment, your integrity, and your ability to care for what he cares about. When he hands over responsibility, maybe asking you to help manage something personal, run an errand that's meaningful to him, or make a decision that affects both of you, he's not being careless. He's saying without words, I trust you to take care of what I can't right now. It's a gesture that blends respect and vulnerability. He knows that if you're involved, things will be handled thoughtfully. And it's not just about practical matters, it's emotional too. When he lets you step in during difficult moments, it means he feels safe leaning on you without fear of judgment or rejection. This level of trust is powerful because it breaks through the old belief that men should always be in control. It shows he's comfortable sharing his world with you, not because he's giving up authority, but because he wants partnership. You become someone he doesn't have to double-check or second-guess. He knows your heart is aligned with his, and that his best interests are safe in your hands. When a man lets you handle something precious to him, his emotions, his space, his dreams, it's not just an act of trust, it's an act of love. It means you've earned a place in his inner circle, where only those who bring peace, not pressure, are allowed to stay. He doesn't check up on you constantly. When a man doesn't check up on you constantly, it's not a sign of indifference. It's a quiet reflection of trust and emotional security. Many people mistake constant messaging, questions, or "where are you?" texts as love. But in reality, love built on control isn't love at all. It's anxiety in disguise. When he gives you space without feeling the need to monitor your every move, it means he feels confident in what you share. He doesn't need reassurance every hour that you're still his, because he believes in the bond you've built. This kind of trust comes from emotional maturity. He understands that true connection doesn't need constant supervision. It needs faith. When he gives you freedom, it's his way of saying, I trust you to be yourself even when I'm not around. He knows that love doesn't grow through pressure. It grows through peace. By not hovering or demanding updates, he's respecting your independence and your right to live fully as an individual. That's what separates a man who's secure from one who's merely possessive. In healthy relationships, space isn't distance, it's breathing room. When he lets you have that, he's acknowledging that your world doesn't revolve around him alone, and that's what makes the connection even stronger. He trusts that when you're apart, your loyalty remains the same. It also shows that he's confident in himself. He doesn't fear losing you every time you're not visible. This calm confidence creates a sense of balance that most relationships crave. You don't feel suffocated, and he doesn't feel anxious. Instead, both of you move freely, knowing that love isn't about constant checking. It's about consistent faith. When he doesn't chase you for proof, it's because he already believes in the truth of what you share. 10. He trusts you with his space and privacy. When a man trusts you with his space and privacy, it's one of the deepest forms of emotional security he can show. It means he feels safe enough to let you into his personal world without fear of intrusion, judgment, or betrayal. Every person has private corners, their phone, their thoughts, their quiet time. And when he no longer feels the need to guard those parts of himself from you, it speaks volumes about the depth of his trust. He's not keeping secrets. He's simply confident that you'll respect his boundaries just as much as he respects yours. You'll notice it in small ways, the way he laughs more easily, shares unfiltered thoughts, or talks about his day without hesitation. Sometimes it's in how he lets you see his unpolished moments, when he's stressed, vulnerable, or uncertain. Instead of pretending to have it all together, he lets you see the real him. And that's not just comfort, that's trust in its purest form. When a man feels safe enough to be himself, it means he believes your love is steady, not situational. He knows that even when life gets messy, you'll still look at him with the same warmth. And in that calm, unspoken safety, where he can be his truest self, love quietly becomes home.